for details. Following this discussion, commissioners may choose to ask questions of parties present. Interested persons may speak to support or protest the application. The applicant will be entitled to one brief rebuttal. Interaction between applicant and protestants on the floor is not permitted. Persons speaking are asked to approach the center podium one at a time to introduce themselves by name and address and to present their position as succinctly as possible. If you would sign in, please, on the form. The Commission asks each speaker to limit his or her remarks to no more than 5 minutes. Following the public hearing on an application, the Commission will take one of the following actions. 1, approve the certificate of appropriateness. 2, continue the proposal. 3, deny the proposal with prejudice, which means the application may not be resubmitted for at least 1 year unless the Commission decides that circumstances have changed. Or 4, deny the proposal without prejudice, which means the applicant may reapply at any time. When an application has been approved and after a 10-day protest period has expired, the Historic Preservation Officer will mail the CA to the applicant. City construction permits cannot be issued until the CA has been issued. Contact HP staff for final design review inspection or to withdraw items that will not be completed. And finally, any person aggrieved by any decision granting or denying a CA may appeal to the Oklahoma City Board of Adjustment. All appeals shall be made within 10 days of the Commission decision by filing a written notice with the clerk of the BOA. And I forgot to ask Paula to call the roll. Would you please?
Alan Brown.
Present.
Jeffrey Parks.
Present.
Suzanne Broadbent. Heather Clemmer.
Present.
Neela Crank-Clements.
Present.
Greg Eddington.
Present.
George Massey.
Present.
Mary Jo Meacham. And Ann Zacharitz.
Present.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. Okay, on to item 2 from the Office of the Historic Preservation Officer.
I have nothing to report this month.
Nothing, okay. And then 3, acceptance of the minutes of the previous meeting from November. Or any comments?
We had one comment from Suzanne Broadbent, who's not here, but she emailed to note that on the last page of the minutes, page 24, it says persevering, and it should stay preserving. So just a typo. That's all.
Okay. All right. Is there a motion for approval?
Move to accept as amended.
Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved by Jeff Parks, a second by George Massey. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the minutes are accepted. And next, the Code Enforcement report. Anybody from Code Enforcement here today? No. So any comments on the Code Enforcement report?
Is there any updates on 401 Northwest 20th Street that were made for custom doors, I think, on their library side? Remember that one?
Yes, I think that was approved, that making the replacement back to what the appropriate doors was approved. I don't know if they've completed the work at this point.
They have not.
Okay. They've got, a year to do it. So.
Okay, so no more comments. We'll move on. The continuance announcements and requests.
No new requests at this time.
Okay, moving right along. Public hearing, 6.
No dilapidated structures or National Register nominations this month.
Okay, and on the consent docket, anybody like to consider any of those separately? Not, is there a motion?
We had a neighbor comment on the first one.
Okay.
Oh, that's right. On the very first one, HPCA 17-00127, we received an email from a resident just noting that the garage is proposed with a single 2-car width garage door, whereas we typically encourage using 2 single-car doors.
Okay. Does anybody like to discuss that? Well, I will make a motion.
I will discuss it.
Go ahead.
So shall we pull that item from the consent docket?
If you'd like to.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Do we have to vote on that to pull it? We do, right?
No.
We don't. All right. So it's the first one. So do we go right
vote
to
on the
it?
rest of the consent docket first?
We do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Vote on the rest of the consent docket and then go back and review this one.
All right, so we're going to pull item VIC1, and it will go first on the individual. And would anybody like to make a motion on the rest of the consent docket?
I move to approve consent docket items 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved by Neela Crank Clements, a second by Jeff Parks. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the consent docket is approved. On to items for individual consideration.
So we hear the one that was pulled first. Okay, so HPCA 17-00127 at 2300 Northwest 26th Street, Shepherd, Ward 2, consideration and possible action on application of Michael Luther for certificate of appropriateness to 1, construct house, elective, 2, construct garage, elective, 3, install driveway and sidewalks, elective, and 4, install fence and driveway gates, elective.
Okay, before we get started, anybody on the consent docket, you've been approved, and you can leave if you'd like or stay and watch. Okay.
I'm Josh Kitchen with McAllister Construction.
Okay.
On behalf of the Luthers, who are the property owners at 2300 Northwest 26th.
All right.
Third time's a charm. No, I think we
Usually.
have everything addressed, but any questions you have, I'd be glad to answer.
So can you address the question from the neighbor about why there's a single double-wide garage door instead of 2 individual garage doors?
I would say, I mean, the house abutting the property has a single 2-car garage. It was in one of those pictures. That house, there, that house right there.
Yeah.
That's a single door. I mean, I wouldn't say that's predominant in the neighborhood. I mean, that is a recently approved garage within the last 7 or 8 months.
Right, but this one sits right at the street, though. Your new garage will sit right at the street, like the neighbor across the street and Caddy Corner and next door.
I mean, this has not been something that's come up from the commission in the past meetings. I mean, this would be news to us. I mean,
Well, it's a new garage, and the face of it is 20 feet, which makes it difficult for 2 cars, we've determined in the past, so
To
for a single. allow a
maneuver
single-
to get in? To maneuver to get in the door?
But to allow 2 doors on
Oh,
that
I
face.
see.
20 feet is a
Yeah,
little
it's
narrow. I
tight.
think we've determined that before, if they go the other direction.
So because of the
2.
size of the garage, a single door is required.
right, and we can't go over, there's a certain minimum or
Right.
maximum square footage you can go over.
I think this has come up before.
Okay.
Kind of depends on the proportion of the 450 square feet.
So if they'd had a wider garage or a bigger garage, then a double set of doors would have been.
As I understand, it's 20 feet wide, 22 feet long. If it was 22 feet wide and
Right.
20 feet deep, then it would
Yes.
work, so.
Okay.
Makes sense. I don't mean to speak for you.
Yeah, I mean,
Agree with that?
we do have, just fitting the scope of the lot, I mean, if you look at, right now, we're, 20 by 22. Our issue aesthetically from the street, having a 22-foot wide garage might actually be more of a encumbrance, potentially, just the look of it.
Okay. That's all I had.
I would move to approve
Okay.
HPCA 17-00127.
We do have the homeowner would like to address the commission, if that's okay?
Okay.
Okay.
Hello. My name is Deborah Luther, and I live presently at 9109 Whitehall Court in Oklahoma City.
Would you also sign in, please?
Oh,
Yeah, thank you.
yes, I'd be glad to do that. I'm glad to talk with you all today, and just want to say a few things. Mike and I are grateful for our builder, Josh Kitchen's support and patience in this process with the commission and the city planners for the last few months. I'd like to read and reiterate parts of our original letter to the HP that we submitted at the beginning of July, which still ring true for us today. Dear members of the Historic Preservation Commission, first of all, we want you to know how happy and excited we are to be a part of this historic Shepherd neighborhood. When we were looking to move back into the middle of Oklahoma City after living in northwest Oklahoma City and Landsbrook for 25 years, this was one of our favorite neighborhoods. So we feel very fortunate to have been able to purchase the lot at 26th and Youngs. We are hoping that the new construction will help increase property values and be an asset to our neighborhood. We are presenting a house plan that is very compatible with the Tudor Revival style and with the neighborhood. This is the first and last house we'll ever build. It's our retirement house, our retirement home, in which we plan to live until we die, if we're lucky. We have been very cooperative and believe that our builder has gone over and above what is typically necessary for approval. There have been a couple of other people before us who did not buy this lot and build on it because of the expense to build in this HP neighborhood and also the process of the HP Commission. Each time you require changes which have added thousands of dollars to our cost, we've deliberated whether it truly was worth continuing this process to build in this neighborhood. We've decreased square footage. We've eliminated many things that we wanted, and we've decided to postpone our retirement in order to proceed with this house. But this is our last time, and so we implore you to approve our house plan today. And I'd like to end with the ending paragraph of the letter I sent you 5 months ago. This neighborhood is so attractive because it was developed with many charming houses, which are not cookie cutter. Each is unique in its own way. We hope you will permit us to add a bit of our stamp with this home design. We plan on being a contributing and integral part of the neighborhood and are looking forward to the sense of community we've already experienced from our neighbors that we have met. We truly appreciate the work that you do to keep the integrity of the historic preservation neighborhoods, and we hope you will look favorably upon our request. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate your comments and your perseverance. It's not easy sometimes, but I think you're going to be approved. So I think Neela,
So my motion stands, but I do want to note there were conditions in the staff report. Do you want to make sure that the owner is okay with those two conditions? Okay. Okay.
Have they agreed to all those? Okay. Okay. So it's been moved by Neela Crank Clements. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ann Zakritz. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? You're approved. Thank you. Next.
Okay, on to cases for individual consideration. HPCA 17-00043 at 3817 North McKinley, Putnam Heights, Ward 2. Consideration and possible action on application of Mark Nunn and Gloria Vera for certificate of appropriateness to 3, replace front porch elective, 4, replace front porch steps elective, and 5, replace front porch sidewalks elective.
How y'all doing? Mark Nunn, 3817 North McKinley.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so really what I'm looking to do is the front porch right now currently is sinking towards the front door. So when we get a lot of rain, a lot of the water heads towards the house. It has developed a crack along the tile right there. You can see where the front door is, and you can probably barely see that crack, but I'm sure there's another shot that actually really shows it right there. You can see along the brick how much it has sunk over time. There's wear and tear, obviously, on the concrete. The big issue we're having is when it happens, the rain has been somehow underneath channeled to the basement wall, which is directly underneath the porch. And then that water comes into the basement. So there's really not a way of getting to it unless you tear out the porch. So that's kind of where we're at is I don't want, I have a refinished basement. So when that water comes in, it's behind the wall. A while ago, I did do waterproofing on the outside of the house, on the back side of the house where water would come in, on the north side of the house where water would come in. All that's been waterproofed. It's been up and hold. It's waterproof from the outside. And I never waterproofed this side, obviously, because you have to worry about the porch to do something like that. So now, also, there's part of me that feels like the porch isn't original. If you can see the sidewalk shot of the porch, it slopes from the south side to the driveway, which is on the north side. And I can't imagine someone putting in a porch where all this water that would come running down would hit a step and go backwards towards the house. It just didn't make sense to me. A lot of stuff that's in the neighborhood are like what I envision are those planters on the sides is where stairs used to be. I can't prove this unless I take out things, but from what I can see from where things have been separating, that's what appears actually used to be there. So whenever that extension of the porch was put in, it basically created a dam for water to also get up underneath the porch and start the sinking.
Okay.
Are you also in agreement with the conditions that are in the report?
What were the conditions stating?
The front porch steps and sidewalks will be replaced with concrete and a similar finish to match the original front porch and won't be tinted and won't be installed on the surfaces of the porch floor steps. They're at the,
Yes.
it's on page 9. Got it? You are?
Yes.
Okay. Well, go ahead.
So the drawing on page 8 that says stained brownish red terracotta, that doesn't apply. Okay.
Yeah.
Wanna make sure.
So the idea was that's terracotta tile. It's like a 1-inch tile thickness. We wanted to go back with a full slab of concrete and do a saw cut on it to kind of mimic those tiles. Those tiles are like 6 inches, 6 by 6, and we're actually wanting to go with a little bigger look. So we're not actually inserting tiles into the concrete. What we want to do is we want to do a saw cut into the concrete, which mimics a 1-foot tile, stain that pattern, do an acid stain on that pattern to kind of get the color again, and then where we saw cut the tile look, to grout fill it so it gives the appearance that it is tile.
I'm confused now. I thought the
I think the condition is that you do not do that, and that it is a solid piece of concrete. Is that right, Katie?
Yes, that was the intent.
do you agree with that? Doesn't sound like you do.
Oh, sorry. I see the concrete will not be tinted to simulate tile.
And I would say also would not be saw cut to simulate tile as well as tinted.
Well, so you guys are wanting to just see a solid blank piece of concrete? We
typical.
all know that if concrete at 10 foot starts to expand and crack.
Well, no, you'd have to have
Control joints in there.
Control joints, but not a decorative pattern of 6-inch by 6-inch grid. is what I think we're saying. Yeah, control joints are required by
Right.
construction. So, am I interpreting this right?
Yeah, I think without documentation that there was some kind of historic treatment to the porch, most typically we see just a plain concrete porch without those details. It seems like those are something that we found were added, in more recent years at various locations. So that was the...
I'm just kind of confused because what are we considering historical documentation? Are we considering a photograph? Because when I came back here for my garage, that's what we consider historical documentation, was a photograph. That's a photograph of what the porch actually looks like. So I'm kind of confused on me going back and trying to simulate what it looks like compared to just going with a solid slab of concrete.
Well, we had photographs of a historic garage that we knew was a historic garage, that we knew when that was constructed. We had documentation of that going back through time. We don't have the same type of evidence for this treatment as to when that was put in, and just based on observations at similar properties where we know when these types of things were added, I think staff has assessed these to typically not be a historic feature, that usually that's something that was done at a later date, especially given that it seems like the porch has been altered.
The brick doesn't even match, does it?
Not for those steps, no. Or for the threshold that you see between the columns in the front.
The rest of it's good, removing the concrete extension and going back to the historic steps. So, do you agree to the
Well, I
condition?
just don't like the solid concrete slab because unless I can actually see where control joints are going to where they can be aesthetically pleasing looking, because I'm not one of those guys just say, hey, let's just throw it in and be done with it.
Well, you could submit a plan showing the control joint.
Yeah, I would feel more comfortable doing that.
I would.
I just like going in with a plan.
Yeah, I would definitely want to make sure they're done from the right place.
Right, because I
If I were
mean,
you.
even if you look at my sidewalks, hey, these are where my control joints are. These are where my, I like them to be nice. So.
And I think if you were okay with those conditions, that's something that the commission could approve with you submitting that revision to staff if you want. Like you don't have to come back to the
Not
commission.
coming back. Well, I don't mind talking to y'all guys. You guys give me some time in my day. So, you guys are full of knowledge, so I gather it too. So, but yeah, I'd probably rather do a continuance if that's what we're going towards to have a plan, another plan created. I don't see me doing the work in the wintertime, anyways. So. But if really that's the only thing, I just got to I got to talk to my boss, which is my wife, so find out if she's okay with that, and if she is, then we'll move forward with it, and if not,
Okay.
So because we have a really short turnaround between now and the January meeting with the holidays in the mix, I think we would continue to February 7th. Is that all right?
yeah, I agree, because I'll be in South America for like 3 weeks.
Yeah, good call
That's
then.
a problem.
Good call.
Okay. So we're going to continue to February.
Okay.
You okay with that?
Yeah.
Would I like to make that motion?
I move to continue HPCA 17-00043 to the February 7, 2018 meeting.
Second.
Been moved by Greg Eddington and second by Jeff Parks. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, continued. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
HPCA 17-00090 at 1001 Northwest 14th Street. Agenda says Mesta Park. This is actually in Heritage Hills, Ward 6. Consideration of possible action on application of Andrew Long by Tim Zajac of Design Partnerships, Inc. for certificate of appropriateness to 3 demolish side porch elective and 4 construct new screen side porch elective. We did have a comment from the Neighborhood Association in support of the application, and that's at your seat. And the commission has seen this application previously.
Okay, thank you. Welcome.
Hello, I'm Tim Zajac with Design Partnerships. I'm the architect involved in the project.
Okay. Staff is recommending continuing this item for additional documentation.
We're unclear on what exactly we need to add to the submittal.
Okay, do you want to explain the additional documentation?
I think staff was indicating a need for drawings of the existing condition with dimensions, materials, et cetera, so that we could better compare the existing condition of the side porch to the proposed.
I am not absolutely clear that I understand the differences between what is proposed and what currently exists, based on the drawings and the photographs compared to each other. If you are more comfortable with that, you are by all means able to move forward.
Katie, I missed your last, Angela, I missed your last comment.
I'm sorry?
What did you, for your last comment?
If you're more comfortable and you feel that you understand the differences between what is existing and what is proposed, then by all means do move forward with that. I personally was not comfortable that I understood what the differences between the existing and the proposed actually are.
Okay.
The only difference is the rail.
Is what?
Is the porch rail,
The rail.
above.
Okay.
In our section, it shows that we're matching the height of the edge condition, the columns.
Upper rail, right?
Yes,
Right.
the upper porch rail is the only thing that is different, and that's just a code issue. The remainder of what's being built back is what you're seeing. The porch slab is staying. Columns will go back in their existing condition or in their existing positions. The heights are still the same. So we're really just matching all those details that you're seeing, and those are called out in that section. So that was what I was a little unclear with. Now, the porch, the porch rail condition does change, and that's because the existing one, which is completely down now, the existing one was only 23 inches. I'm going by memory, so I don't remember. But it doesn't meet current code. So we had to be 36 inches. The original railing was a 1x4. To me, it's just my own personal opinion, and this is something that we had a conversation with the neighborhood group, is a 1x4 railing at 36, I'm sorry, the 1x4 verticals for a 36-inch railing would be too heavy. So what we were trying to do is lighten the impact of going from basically 1.5 times a new height on our new railing that's required by code.
Okay. Did you say that the concrete slab is to be stained?
The concrete slab remains.
We're not, remains,
It will
okay.
stay,
We're not-
I think stay, I think is what he said.
Okay.
Oh, yes,
'Cause we just
remains.
we just had that last.
Stay, no.
No, it's remaining. So that'll be the only, we'll keep the slab itself. Everything above the slab is removed and
Okay.
new.
I got you. All right.
So I have a question for Angela. Was he's saying the upper porch rail was the only difference? Was that your understanding? Or was there something else that you needed clarification on?
I asked for clarification because when I look at the existing drawings and compare them to the photographs, I see some differences, and those may be unintentional. If you look at page 5 of 27, and we look at the column itself and the details at the top and the bottom, we have a shoe that appears to be a different size from what we have in the photograph.
Yep.
When we look at the top of the column, we have details there that appear to be different. And so that leads me to believe that if I do not understand the drawings properly, it's possible that there are other changes that I have not caught.
Angela makes a good point. The detailing is not the same on the section and on the elevations at the top and bottom of the columns. So,
If you wish to have, originally the detailing of the collar was removed when we had and Alan, I know you weren't part of this discussion, but in a previous submittal, the collar was removed because we had the screen right along the line of the column itself. Now we've moved it back. If we want to have that collar and those actual cap and base details matched in kind, we don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, good. I think that would make a really big difference. And the way the column engages the entablature is important. The little band is important, and then the slightly taller base is important.
Okay.
I think those three things would fix it. I think it would be good.
We have no problem with that.
okay. Is that a motion?
I can make a motion. Unless there are any other further questions.
Comments? George?
Move to approve HPCA 17-00090 with the specific findings numbered 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, and 8, with the condition that the columns on the new porch replicate the details of the columns that exist today, with the base column and capital.
And would he need to submit a drawing to staff
Yes,
so that we have something to compare?
Yes, submit those documents to staff as a condition of the approval.
Absolutely.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second?
Been moved by Jeff Parks and second by Neela Crank Clements. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. It's
Thank
approved
you.
with condition. All right.
HPCA 17-00123 at 733 Northwest 21st Street, Mesta Park, Ward 6. Consideration and possible action on application of Roy Long for certificate of appropriateness to 1, demolish 2 original windows elective, 2, demolish 2 non-historic windows and infill with matching wood siding elective, 3, replace 1 non-historic window with new window elective, 4, demolish addition elective, and 5, construct addition elective.
Okay. Is the applicant present? No. Okay. All right. Any comments?
Just to note, the commission has reviewed this one previously, and we've not heard back from the applicant on the various things that were called out as needing revision. So at this point, they are out of continuances, and we've recommended approval of some items and denial of others.
I agree with staff's recommendation. And
Okay.
looking at item 1, demolish 2 original windows, I don't see that the guidelines would support that in this particular case. Any other thoughts?
Okay.
Then I move to approve HPCA 17-00123. That would be items 2, 3, 4, and 5, according to the staff report.
Second.
Moved by Neela Crank Clements, and second by Heather Clemmer. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, those items are approved.
And then
Ma'am?
I move to deny HPCA 17-00123, item 1, to remove 2 historic windows with prejudice, according to the specific findings in the staff report.
Okay.
Second.
Moved by Neela Crank Clements, and second by Heather Clemmer. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, item 1 is denied with prejudice. Thank you. Next.
HPCA 17-00146 at 412 Northwest 26th Street, Jefferson Park, Ward 2. Consideration and possible action on application of Joyce Lewis by Guy Tilden for certificate of appropriateness to 6 install front door required and 7 replace back door elective.
Okay. Is this applicant present? No. Okay.
The Commission also heard this application previously, and staff has not received any additional information since that time, but did recommend approval of the front door as proposed.
Okay. Comments? So they have a continuance available?
Yes, they have one more.
One more. Okay.
So we could continue to February 7th.
Yeah, the whole thing, if we wanted to, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Since they're not here, I would personally think I'd prefer that.
Move to approve HPCA 17-00146 to the February,
To continue.
to continue.
Yeah.
What did I say?
Approve.
No. Continue. Sorry. The Diet Dr. Pepper's talking. To the February 7th meeting.
Okay, great. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Jeff Parks and seconded by Ann Zackridge. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, this case is continued. Next.
HPCA 17-00151 at 2204 Northwest 27th Street, Shepherd, Ward 2. Consideration and possible action on application of David Clayton for certificate of appropriateness to 1, demolish garage elective, 2, reconfigure fence and driveway elective, and 3, construct garage elective. Between this meeting and when the staff report went out, the applicant's representative and I were able to discuss the fence and driveway and clarify things I had questions on the site plan, so that all appears to
Be in order?
be fine for approval
Okay.
at this point, yes.
All right. And also that can be administratively approved, so. All right. Questions? Oh, did you say who you were? Sorry.
I was waiting for applause. So, John Reinke, I'm
Okay.
the contractor for this particular job.
Okay, great.
So,
Did you
and
sign in also?
I did.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. Any comments? Is there a motion?
Does the demolition require a separate motion?
Yes.
I move to approve HPCA, HPCA 17-00151, Item 1, demolish garage, with the specific findings as listed in the staff report.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Moved by Jeff Parks and seconded by Heather Clemmer. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Demolition is approved. Now we've got to build something.
I move to approve HPCA 17-00151, Items 2 and 3, with the specific findings as listed in the staff report for Item 3 and specific findings at Item 2 that clarification has been made as to the location of the fencing and paving that complies with the intent of the standards and guidelines.
Second.
Okay, been moved by Jeff Parks and seconded by Neela Crank Clements. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, you're approved.
Great, thanks.
Thank
See
you.
you guys next week for more of the same.
Okay.
HPCA 17-00152 at 530 Northwest 16th Street, Mesta Park, Ward 6. Consideration and possible action on application of Mark Johnson for certificate of appropriateness to 4, replace windows elective, 6, replace window with patio doors on rear elective, and 7, install louvered fence elective. The Commission saw this last month and continued to allow the applicant and staff to do a little bit more research. We don't typically see replacement of this type of window, and So he's provided some more information, staff provided some more information.
Okay. And your name?
Mark Johnson,
Okay,
I'm the
thank
owner of the property.
Okay. We have to get it on the recording, so.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay.
I appreciate all the research that was included in the application. And I had a question for our architects on the commission. Staff feels like the replacement windows don't closely approximate the configuration of the existing historic windows. And I wondered what your take on that is.
My take is, well, it doesn't. You know, I think that this is an interesting case as we start to dip our toe into, you know, things that it seems weren't built all that long ago, but in fact have reached a point that they are in fact historic. It does look different. This would be a change to the exterior of the house. It would be a pretty substantial, significant change. And, you know, I struggle with, you know, it's just junky old aluminum windows on a, you know, on a great house that I understand wanting to replace them, but we would also lose the pattern of what that exterior house is in its historic condition. So I struggle with it a bit, but it doesn't actually, doesn't match.
Yeah, I think my struggle was with the research that was submitted. It suggested that the type of window that they're proposing, the applicant is proposing, would be appropriate for this type of structure. But again, we have to look at this particular house on this lot, in this neighborhood, and tend to agree a bit with staff on that.
That's this architect's opinion. I don't know if the other architect has an opinion as well. So.
I agree. It's a, you know, yeah, usually this isn't the type of house design and detail we get, so, but I do agree. It's a pattern of the windows, and, you know, that's important.
And, you know,
no matter what type of window they are.
Also thinking of it and looking at the house in eyes that would be another 20, 30, 40 years older from now, you know, people could have said the same thing about the junky old wood windows that we now really think are pretty important to the character of those properties that we don't want people to remove. So, you know.
So,
So, Mr. Johnson, have you thought about some windows that more closely replicate what's there? Seems like a couple of us are kind of leaning toward not approving that request to replace those windows with the ones you proposed.
I'm having a hard time understanding you, I guess. Can you repeat what you said?
So have you looked at the staff recommendation in the staff report that you received in the mail? Okay. So they've recommended a continuance on item 4 to replace the windows. They feel that they do not closely approximate the condition that's currently there. Have you considered that, about choosing another window that would approximate that condition?
I thought that's what we had the continuance for, was to try to find another window that would approximate it, and could not.
So before we make a motion to continue it, I'm just asking if that's something that you're considering.
Yeah, we did look
them.
at it the
Okay.
last 30 days.
So, yeah, we both researched some on finding a close match to the existing windows. There doesn't appear to be a readily available aluminum window with the horizontal 2/2 configuration. And that's from contacting a number of different manufacturers. Now, you can throw enough money at anything and have a custom aluminum window constructed, probably. That seems maybe a bit of a stretch. One difference that still remains, and we did also talk about that the dimensions of the frame of the proposed windows is actually pretty similar to the dimension of the existing historic windows, as far as the material going from the wall to the glass. That it's, even though in the images they look very heavy, but that when you evaluate the actual dimensions, it's pretty similar to the historic windows. I think the one difference that continued for staff to not seem like a close enough match is the operation of the windows. That we've got several prominent windows that are double hung, which creates a certain proportion, and those are proposed to be replaced with casements with no divisions in them. So there has been a good amount of research done on what the available options are for replacement.
So it's the window frame and material, but also the configuration of the lights, subdivision.
Yes.
Yeah. To me, though, it's all important, but if you can't find the exact frame, it's the pattern of the windows. It's more important than not having any subdivision, the horizontal. Yeah. So that's where I'd compromise. It would probably be the frame. Find something profile as close as possible. Comments? And I think you could do that. I work with Weather Shield. You can have any muntin pattern you want, virtually. So I think you could do a horizontal pattern.
I'm having a hard time here.
I'm sorry. I think you could replicate the horizontal pattern of the lights, the 2/2, as Katie mentioned. I think they will replicate any muntin pattern. So.
Who is they?
Weather Shield, the company that you got the quote from.
They can do a double. They can do a hung window, but they can't replicate the separate lights. The closest they could come would be like something inside the window.
Oh well, yeah, they're not separate, but they have a internal.
Right, not true divided,
Yeah,
but
not true divided.
a fake one.
To me, that's the most important part, is the pattern. So.
I mean, one thing to consider is the hung windows. The bottom part of the rail is like twice as thick on the replacement windows.
Yeah.
So the casement has a much thinner profile than the hung windows would have.
So when should we continue this to? February, or have you discussed that, Katie?
At the last meeting, the applicant wasn't too excited about having a continuance. I don't know if you...
No, I need to know. I can't continue.
Are you still interested in approving items 6 and 7? The patio doors on the rear and the louvered wood fence?
Okay.
Are those still things you
Yes.
would like?
Yes.
We can do that.
Let's go ahead and approve, or at least make a motion for that. I move to approve HPCA 17-00152, items 6 and 7, with the specific findings as listed in the staff report.
Second.
Okay. Been moved by Jeff Parks and seconded by Ann Zackwitz. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Items 6 and 7 are approved. Back to the windows. Continue? Sound like he doesn't want a continuance, but
So the windows are not, but the other parts are approved.
windows haven't been approved. have not been.
Okay, so that's your decision?
Well, we haven't taken action yet.
Oh, okay,
We just
okay.
approved 6 and 7,
All right.
the patio doors and the fence.
So remind me, is it with prejudice or without prejudice, a denial that would allow him to come back with a different window that may be more closely
Without.
with the new application?
Well, without allows him to come back with exactly the same thing.
Okay.
With prejudice, you could come back with a different proposal.
Okay.
Is it a new application?
Yep, if it's denied, then you have to start.
Complete new application?
Yeah, yeah.
If it's denied. If you continue it, you don't have to apply again.
But he doesn't want to continue.
But you don't want to do
so
that.
He wants yes or no today. You are not open to a continuance. Is that what we understand?
I need to move on one way or the other.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Then I move to deny HPCA 17-00152, item 4, with prejudice, based on the following specific findings. The subject property is 65 years old and retains a high degree of integrity as a representative ranch-style structure. That the existing windows are a character-defining feature typical of the ranch style. That the proposed replacement windows do not replicate the configuration, muntin pattern, or profile of the historic windows. And that replacement windows that more closely approximate the configuration of the existing historic windows may be appropriate. That the municipal code makes no reference to a period of significance on or other age cutoff for structures within the historic district.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved by Neela Crank Clements and seconded by Jeff Parks. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, item 4 has been denied with prejudice.
All right, thank
Talk
you.
about that. Thank you. All right, next.
HPCA 17-00169 at 824 Northwest 40th Street, Crown Heights, Ward 2. Consideration and possible action on application of Jack and Allison Waldo by Ryan Scamerhorn of Creative Home Designs for certificate of appropriateness to 1 construct second-story addition at rear elective. The Commission saw this application previously and continued it. The applicant has since revised the material of the addition to be wood siding rather than brick to provide differentiation between the addition and the historic structure.
Okay, is the applicant present? Hello?
Hello, my name is Charles Bludman. I'm representing Allison and Jack Waldo, 824 Northwest 40th.
Okay.
I don't see his name as a representative on the application. Maybe that's what you're talking about. Okay.
Are you with Creative Home Design?
I am not. I am the contractor that will be performing the work. We've had problems with Creative Home Design. They did not show up at the last meeting.
Okay.
We were hired to represent clients. They didn't show up last time. So I am here with Allison.
Okay,
To try and
the
get this
applicant's
moving.
present, so that's fine.
Okay.
We're not
All right.
supposed to let people speak on behalf of an application if we don't know who they are.
Okay.
But since the applicant's present, it's fine, yeah.
You'll vouch for him, okay. Okay.
Avoiding trickery, yeah.
You never know. Okay, continue, thank you. Any questions on this? It looks recommended for approval.
So there was a condition. The details confirming the configuration of windows be submitted to staff prior to release of the certificate of appropriateness.
And this was just that in some of the text of the application, it's specified true divided light windows, but the window documentation shows a simulated divided light window, I think, on one of the drawings, which are allowed for an addition. We just wanted to clarify what product was being used.
Well, we will more than likely use a true divided light. I'm going to do my best to reuse an existing window.
Okay.
And that way we don't have to send something to landfill that doesn't need to go.
Okay.
So we need to submit-
Yeah, perhaps could be a condition that the specific window you're going to use be submitted to staff, so we can include that in the CA.
Okay.
So we have accurate information.
the existing south-facing window.
That would be good. Okay, is there a motion?
So I think you'll just have to send maybe Katie an email or something that says that, or have the owner do that, so that we have record of exactly what it is that you're putting there.
Okay.
So I move to approve HPCA 17-00169. That would be item 1, with the specific findings and the condition in the staff report.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved by Neil Crank Clemens, seconded by Jeff Parks. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, approved. Condition, thank you. Onward.
HPCA 17-00176 at 821 Northwest 19th Street, Mesta Park, Ward 6. Consideration and possible action on application of Kenneth Avey, KB and Rebo, Inc. for certificate of appropriateness to 1, construct garage elective, and 2, install paving at garage elective.
Okay, is the applicant, there he is.
I'm here. Kenneth Avey.
Okay. All right.
Mr. Avey, staff has recommended approval of your application with 3 conditions. Have you seen those, and do you agree with them?
I have, and I do agree. The pedestrian door will be wood. He was calling that out, but yes. And the overhead door will actually be wood also. I wasn't able to find a fiberglass garage door that was smooth, so we'll go with a wood door.
Katie, do you need any documentation for those items?
Yes.
I have it here. I didn't know if I could bring it.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Then I'll move approval for HPCA 17-00176, item 1 and item 2, based on the staff recommendation with specific findings and the 3 conditions as listed.
Second.
Moved by Neil Crank Clemens, and second by Heather Clemmer. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that's approved. Thank you. And next.
HPCA 17-00179 has been withdrawn.
Oh, yeah, right. So 10.
HPCA 17-00181 at 904 Northwest 19th Street, Heritage Hills, Ward 6. Consideration and possible action on application of Justin and Amanda Vank for certificate of appropriateness to 5, install patio elective, 6, install new windows and door on rear elevation elective, and 8, install new windows on west side elevation elective. At your seats, you have some additional documentation from the applicant. We had discussed some changes to the windows as addressed in the staff report, and just after these went out, they sent revised drawings that have true divided light, single pane windows that match the windows on the rest of the structure. And the window configuration was really staff's only concern with the proposal.
Yeah. Also, I think you said 19th Street, and it's 14th Street.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Sorry about that.
Just for the record.
That's why I paused. I was like, wait.
Have you moved?
Someone on 19th Street is going to have some stuff done to their house.
Okay. Okay.
So with the new information, it appears that the replacement windows would potentially be approvable, but that doesn't address the fact that the windows proposed to be replaced do not appear to be damaged, and I'm reading this from the staff report. Do you have any Information on that?
One of the windows on the west side is pretty severely damaged. It's sagging.
Did you provide that documentation to staff?
Yeah, I can. I mean, the main reason for changing them is the configuration of the kitchen that will kind of moving the door.
Okay.
We have typically approved alterations to windows and doors on the rear of structures, regardless of their condition. When it's not visible, that's kind of the identified location where we've let people put in a set of French doors and that sort of thing to allow them to continue to use the house and live in it in a modern way. I think we also have tended to interpret the guideline that allows for the installation of new windows in the rear 30% of the structure as also accommodating alterations to windows in the rear 30%, that there's some flexibility there. I do not recall if I calculated whether all of the windows on the west side were, it doesn't look like they're all in the rear 30%. It looks like perhaps 2 of them are of the structure. And I'm sorry, that's something I don't think I fully identified in the staff report.
Yeah, so that would be the damaged window. It does note here that that west elevation that's seen from the street, that picture is from my neighbor's yard. You can't actually see those windows from the street. I don't know if that matters or not, but that's just on number 2.
I think if your contention is that the window is damaged enough to require replacement, we would have to have documentation to support that.
Okay.
And I would be comfortable, especially if it's not in the back 30%, which our guidelines allow more flexibility. I think I would want to see that documentation before a motion. I would make a motion to approve it. I don't know what other commissioners think.
I agree. That's typical requirement. It could be photographic. It could be, sometimes we have inspections, so anything that shows the damages you're talking about.
I mean, it's just that one from the inside. I don't have any from the inside on me, but I can provide them.
Okay.
So potentially, that was called out as a separate item. Number 8 was installation of new windows on the west side elevation. If 5 and 6 don't have any other issues, then at least those 2 items could be approved, it sounds like.
Okay.
If we do the continuance on the other ones, I'd be fine with January. I can get that to you this week. Okay.
No question.
Okay, well, any other thoughts before I make a motion? Okay. I move to approve HPCA 17-00181, item 5.
6.
There is a condition in the staff report that the dimensions for all components of the patio be submitted to staff prior to the release of the CA.
Okay.
So you can't actually get your building permit or begin construction until you provide that to staff.
Do I need more dimensions on the one that I sent you?
Yeah, I think there were some heights of railings and overall height of the patio and some things like that. It's not any changes to your drawings, just a few measurements.
Okay.
Okay. So I move approval with that condition for item 5.
Second.
Okay, it's moved by Neela Crank-Clements and second by Heather Clemmer. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, item 5 is approved. Excuse me? Did you include 6?
I did not include
I didn't think
6
so.
yet.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yep, so, next.
Okay, so I move approval HPCA 17-00181, item 6, to install new windows and door at rear elevation, with the specific finding that the rear elevation is the most appropriate location to accommodate changes to the historic structure. That the proposed, let's see, would those all be new windows, Katie? Not replacement windows on the rear elevation?
They are, right, there are windows there now. They will put in different windows in a different configuration.
So those would be replacement windows, or because they're in a different configuration, are they just new windows? Semantics.
I think just new windows, yeah, new windows, new openings.
Okay, the windows and doors and new openings at the rear of the structure must be compatible with existing historic windows and doors of the structure, and that the proposed new windows are compatible with the existing windows in the structure. I think that's it.
Okay.
And didn't he verify that they were true divided light?
Yep. Okay. True divided light, single pane.
Is that it? Okay. Anybody?
Second.
Been moved by Neela Crane Clemens, second by Jeff Parks. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, item 6 is approved with,
So item 8, the new windows on the west side continue to January meeting.
Okay.
Yes, 3rd, January 3rd. Okay. I make that motion.
Second.
moved by Neela Crane Clemens, second by Heather Clemmer. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, item 8 is continued to January. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
HPCA 17-00183 at 432 Northwest 21st Street, Heritage Hills, Ward 6. Consideration and possible action on application of Stacy Phillips by Kenny Thornhill of Heartland Roofing and Exteriors for certificate of appropriateness to 1, replace metal siding on the north and west sides of house elective.
Good afternoon. I'm Kenny Thornhill with Heartland Roofing and Exteriors.
Okay.
Representative for John and Stacy Phillips at 432 Northwest 21st Street.
Okay, thank you. I'm trying to remember this one.
And our understanding was that this applicant did not want a continuance. They just wanted a yes or no vote.
That's correct.
And metal siding is not something that we would typically approve.
Correct.
Right.
Okay.
Unless there are further comments or questions?
I mean, I just one comment. Oftentimes we have language that's permissive in the guidelines,
Right.
and guideline 3.1.31 is directive. It says siding materials such as what the applicant is proposing to install are not appropriate and will not be approved. I don't think we can get past that.
Quite clear, isn't it? Yes.
It's quite clear.
Okay.
That was our understanding as well.
Just want to move on. So, motion?
Well, I move to deny HPCA 17-00183, item 1, replace metal siding on the north and west sides of the house in kind with prejudice, with the specific findings as listed in the staff report.
Second.
Moved by Jeff Parks and seconded by Ann Zakritz. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, been denied. Sorry.
Thank you.
All right. Next.
HPCA 17-00189 at 414 Northwest 20th, Heritage Hills, Ward 6. Consideration and possible action on application of Jonathan and Erica Hayes by Thomas Small, Small Architects, for certificate of appropriateness to 1, construct rear south addition elective, 2, alter an existing rear southeast enclosed porch elective, 3, convert window to door at rear east-facing wall elective, and 4, modify existing deck elective.
You know we're harder on former commissioners than we are others.
Afternoon. It's good to see some familiar faces, hopefully friendly faces.
Yeah. I was serious about that. from experience, yes.
You had to live with all our past
Yeah.
decisions. I understand that
Right.
completely.
Okay. Continue. Okay. So additional information required as recommendation? Let's see.
I think the main concern from staff was the lack of windows on the previously enclosed porch and on the west side of the proposed addition, which appears to be potentially visible from the street. Those were two pretty good-sized walls of just blank stucco.
The photo that's on the screen right now, I think, is representative of that side, which would be the east side. It's pretty clear from documentation that we were able to uncover on this particular home that this was an open porch when it was originally constructed. This earliest Sanborn map that we found seems to indicate that that was an open porch that was since enclosed. And in fact, if you visit the site and look carefully, it's obvious that the shutters and the door frame itself and the doors, all of those are non-historic fabric that was added at some point. Our best guess is probably mid-century, but that's just a guess because we don't have anything that pinpoints the exact date when that was added. The doors obviously are not historic, so we don't see any value in trying to keep that opening, certainly. The owner plans on making this room a laundry room in terms of its function, and so having full-length windows or even windows that would replicate the other portions of the eastern facade of the house would not only be not practical, but it wouldn't be appropriate either for this particular location in our view. Our proposal is basically to keep the columns. You kind of notice the way the porch is framed. The original columns and the beam that support the overhang of the porch is still there. It's evident. And the infill actually, fortunately, was recessed in about 3 inches or so. And our proposal would be to use the same type of relationship of the infill as what is there now.
So it would be slightly recessed, it just wouldn't have any sort of window or anything, other articulation?
Correct. Correct.
I was consulted on this home concerning mold testing and mold remediation. Is that anywhere near any of this construction?
Yeah, I don't have knowledge on that, so I wouldn't be able to respond in terms of environmental or other issues relating to that.
Might be a good thing to know.
Certainly.
So that photo that we're looking at on the screen right now is taken just in front of the fence, obviously, gate.
Correct.
Just off the corner of the neighbor's house to the east, is that right?
To the east, correct. It's basically from the northeast, roughly corner of this house, looking southwest. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, this is a little better photo showing the relationship of that prior detailed photo that was a little closer up. But this shows the direction from which that other photo was taken. Yeah.
So behind that wall, that infill wall, is a laundry and a bathroom, right?
Well, the plan, right now there is a bathroom there presently, just south of that door assembly within that volume. There's an existing half bath, I would call it. There is a shower in there right now, but it's a small toilet that will be remodeled. They want to maintain that use. But the part of the room that those double atrium doors open into is really more or less a mud room at this point. And right now their washer and dryer is located down in the basement, and I think she's afraid of spiders, so she would prefer to put the laundry up here in this location.
It's just a standard feature of historic homes. It's my experience. Yeah, from the street, that surface, that wall surface, will be, I think, really fairly visible.
Is there any way to put some windows? Like looking at the laundry plan, doesn't seem like it would be impossible.
It would be possible. We would have to rearrange the laundry somewhat. I would think the washer and dryer would need to go most likely on the east wall, and then we would have a small high window that would be above the washer and dryer. Part of their plan is to also have a built-in storage cabinet in that room. So one of the walls has to be used as as blank space to build a storage closet, a small storage closet.
Well, and there's also the precedent on, you can see it in the photo right there, the little window, kind of the second window around from the front door,
to the left,
or just to the right of the front-facing patio
right there.
door.
Correct.
Exactly. So, I mean,
We
that's
were
sort of a proportion that might help provide some relief on
We
that.
were actually resisting doing that primarily to avoid creating a sense of incorrect historic appearance. We didn't want it to appear that that was always there.
Right.
In our view, it is better to leave it a blank wall where it would be obvious that it was an infill of a porch area. So if it's less of a historic issue and more of an aesthetic issue, then we would agree a window at that location would be better. But we were trying to view it more in a historic perspective, as we understand that's what your view is.
Right. I understand that, and that's sort of purity in that sense, but I think that's also a pretty significant piece of blank wall that will be pretty visible from the street.
No argument. We do have an opportunity, if the commission wishes to consider it. There is a window that we were removing that almost exactly duplicates that one you were referring to. Really? The back side of the building where we're installing a doorway. And if you wish for us to reuse that window in this location, I think that might be feasible and would accomplish both purposes. So,
where is that window on the existing?
If you look at the back side of the plan where we're adding the addition to the back side of the house, there's a new doorway that is being located. There's an existing window at that location on the east. There's sort of a little return.
There it is, yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And we could actually reuse that window over on the east side if that's preferable to the commission.
That'd be a good idea. So it's on the left side of the existing east side elevation?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That would help. Any comments on that? Was that your main concern, Katie, is that blank wall?
Yes.
The window on the wall on the west side is so far back. And it's set in. I don't know that side really bothers this commissioner quite so much, but
that was intentional. Yeah. That was intentional.
To
To both offset it
Oh,
and
right.
set it back so that it would not be
Visible.
creating a, yeah,
Right.
right,
Okay.
an issue.
Right.
Good.
Right. Okay. I didn't see, is there a west elevation in here?
Yes, A301, number 2.
301.
I don't think that's in my packet,
It's not in my packet either.
now that you mention it, but
Yeah.
just given where it is,
Yeah, I
I
was
didn't see
searching
it was an
around.
issue, so
Yeah, once you brought it up.
I'm sure we have it in the file.
If I may approach.
Yes. Oh, perfect.
Pass that around. More setback. Yeah. You were saying we would probably put windows in there, but...
I'm sorry?
We would probably put windows in
We had
that
mentioned that to the
mass.
owner. I think they want to use the majority of that wall for bookcases
Bookcases,
and built-ins
right.
on either side of the fireplace is the only reason those aren't there.
Yeah, lots of times they'll take them up to a height and then put some, okay.
Yeah.
But it's set back. So we've already been through this, okay.
Again, no argument.
But it's set back enough, it's not as visible from the
Right.
street, so. Bless you. Okay. Everybody a chance to look at the west elevation? Okay.
Thank you.
Is there a motion? More questions?
So the question is, does the commission want to see the modification to the east wall? Or are you comfortable approving that today?
We would ask for approval contingent upon staff approval of the revision on that particular wall, moving the window. We kind of know what the window looks like because it's on the existing building. And we agree to moving it to that particular wall. Time is of the essence to these particular owners. They live in Omaha, and they need to start construction because their move is already planned for Oklahoma City. He's in the military.
I think we don't typically put that on staff. Katie, what are your thoughts?
How does staff feel about that?
So I actually stepped out just right at the moment when everyone decided to move a window to a different wall. So maybe recap quickly for me what exactly you're going to do for the change.
Well, the proposal, if I may speak to it, and please correct me if I get it wrong, but the proposal is to move the existing window, which was previously proposed to be demolished, and we would move that to the non-historic infill that's located on the east side of the porch.
So it looks like about a 3-by-3 window or something?
It's not square. I believe
Yeah.
it's more rectangular.
Yeah.
I think it's wider than it is tall.
Yeah.
Did we have specifications as far as centering it on the wall?
Well, that's what I was
or
going to ask.
One end or the other?
We would suggest centering it on the wall, but that's, again, if that's acceptable.
I mean, if that's acceptable to everyone and that's the one and only change, I think that's something that staff can look at and pretty easily assess that, yes, that's what was intended.
And the window head height would align with the other window head
Yes.
heights on that
Yes.
elevation? Okay.
I'm fine with that. Centered, that's easy. We could debate it, but
Could debate lots of things in architecture,
That's
couldn't
right.
we?
That's right. As I'm talking about golden mean and stuff. Yeah. Okay. You feel comfortable? Anybody to make a motion?
I'll make an attempt at a motion.
Okay.
I move to approve HPCA 17-00189 with specific findings listed in the staff report, specific findings for items 1 and 4, all of those. Specific findings for items 2 and 3, that, number 1, that the enclosed porch has been established as a finished space within the structure. Item 2, that modification of the enclosed porch to include wall materials compatible with the historic structure is appropriate. Item 3, that the existing and proposed enclosure of the porch retains features of the historic porch, illustrating the evolution of the property over time and providing for potential restoration of the porch in the future.
There you go. 4.
Number 4 will say that the proposed modifications to the enclosed porch are to include one window that is visible from the street.
Salvage? Do I say something about the salvage?
I'll get to that.
Okay.
Get to that. And item 6, that window-to-wall ratios are a character-defining feature of historic structures, particularly in locations visible from the public right-of-way. And that approval has the condition that the window on the rear of the house that was to be demolished as a part of the addition to the rear will be relocated to the east elevation at the porch location, centered in the portion of wall where the porch had been located, with the window head height matching other window head heights on the east elevation.
Okay.
Would a drawing need to be submitted to staff just to have on
Yes.
record?
We will. We'll submit an update.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved by Jeff Parks and second by Neela Crane Clements. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, been approved. With
Good to see
condition.
everybody. Thank you.
Yeah, good to see you too. All right, this concludes our cases for individual consideration. Now we go to other business.
First, a resolution recognizing Jeffrey Parks for his service on the Historic Preservation Commission. For those that don't know, Jeff is moving to Idaho following his husband David and his new dream job of Executive Director of the Humanities Council for Idaho. So Jeff's going to be serving as our long-distance assistant staff and consultant while he hunts for work in Idaho. So we are very sad to see Jeff go, but excited for you both.
I will miss my friends and colleagues here on the commission and here in Oklahoma City very much. This is a new and exciting chapter in our life. We're very excited and very scared all at the same time, but I trust that the commission will continue on the excellent work, and I'm again just pleased as punch to have been a part of it.
Yeah,
So.
just sign both and we'll pass.
Do we need to vote on that, or? No.
No, yeah.
We will miss you too, Jeff. You've done a great job. We'll miss you.
So
Good luck.
I will read the resolution, and then we do vote on it to pass the resolution, and I'm passing copies of it that everyone will sign.
We didn't vote on it.
A resolution of the Historic Preservation Commission of the City of Oklahoma City acknowledging Jeffrey Parks for 7 years of honorable service on the Historic Preservation Commission. Whereas Jeffrey Parks has nobly served the citizens of this community as a commissioner of the Historic Preservation Commission from March 2010 to December 2017, and whereas Jeffrey Parks graciously served as vice chair of the Historic Preservation Commission since August 2014, whereas Jeffrey Parks graciously served as an architect of the Historic Preservation Commission, and whereas Jeffrey Parks' fulfillment of his responsibilities was achieved with a sincere dedication to the well-being of the community, And whereas Jeffrey Parks brought his experience as an architect, analytical skills, passion for upholding fair and consistent interpretation of the guidelines, and insightful consideration of the facts to his decision-making. And whereas Jeffrey Parks demonstrated his enthusiasm for historic preservation in Oklahoma City by participating in preservation-related activities beyond his service on the Historic Preservation Commission. Now therefore be it resolved that the Historic Preservation Commission hereby commends Jeffrey Parks for his years of service on the City of Oklahoma City Historic Preservation Commission, adopted by the City of Oklahoma City Historic Preservation Commission this 6th day of December 2017.
Great, thank you. So now we have to vote.
Yes.
Approve that.
And I guess you get to sign your own resolution as vice chair.
That's right.
Is that appropriate? Is that what I do?
I guess so.
There's no money or anything that goes with this. Okay, is there somebody like a move that we, is it approve or
We adopt the resolution.
adopt? Okay.
I move that we adopt the resolution for Jeffrey Parks for his
Second.
service on the HP Commission.
I think we all want a second.
Yeah, second, third, fourth, fifth.
Been moved by Neela Crank Clements and second by Heather Clemmer. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
Thank you again.
Recognized.
Appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
You're going to make me cry. Stop.
So
Okay.
now we have to elect a new vice chair.
Do this.
So if we would accept, or someone can nominate a colleague to serve as vice chair, and then that needs a motion and a second and a vote.
I think we've got this prearranged. Jeff?
I move to nominate Neela Crank Clement as vice chair of the Historic Preservation Commission.
Good choice. Is there a second?
Second.
Wow. I think Ann was first. So, moved by Jeff Parks and second by Ann Zachritz. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, welcome to the second chair over here.
Glad to be here, thanks.
Yeah, thank you. You'll do a great job. All right.
Okay, we have two presentations this afternoon. Our first is presentation on proposed amendment to Chapter 59 Zoning and Planning Code to create a new use unit, lodging accommodations, home sharing. And today is just a presentation. This will eventually come back to HP Commission for an actual recommendation.
Good afternoon.
Welcome.
J.J. Chambliss with the Development Services Department, and we have been tasked with processing an amendment to the zoning ordinance to address what's commonly referred to as Airbnbs. And this is a fairly new and growing trend in the hospitality industry. The way it works is a homeowner registers with a website or on their own can offer a bedroom, a number of bedrooms, or in some instances the entire home for overnight or short-term lodging. The ordinance as proposed will create a definition or a use unit in the zoning code, which we don't have right now for this type of use. And that would be defined as lodging, as it is on the screen, lodging accommodations that are provided in a single-family dwelling or rooms in a single-family dwelling for rent on a temporary period not to exceed 30 days. The renter can either reside at the home or does not have to reside at the home. Because in some instances, like I say, they rent the entire house out by the night. We're proposing this to be a conditional use, which means in order to do this, you would have to meet these 4 conditions in the zoning ordinance. And they are that you could not rent exceeding a 30-day period. If you rent more than 4 bedrooms, you would be required to meet certain building and fire codes that exceed normal single-family dwelling codes. And you must obtain a license. As a side note, there's a companion ordinance to this that's being processed to establish a license review and issue a license to these homes. And all applicable fees and taxes must be collected. That's an effort there to get the required hotel motel tax collected. The reason I'm here today is because we're proposing that the lodging be permitted anywhere single-family residential is permitted, which then would be allowed in all of the city's historic preservation districts. So what we would like is for you to consider the amendment, review it, give us a recommendation that we can take back to the Planning Commission and ultimately the City Council with your questions or concerns.
I have a question. What about apartments?
They would not be eligible. They would be considered a bed and breakfast.
Okay.
This is only for single-family homes.
And so what was the, just out of curiosity, what's the reasoning for the trigger point for 5 or more bedrooms?
The building code.
More than 4, I guess.
More than 4, it's building and fire code. If you exceed 4, then it kicks in building and fire codes that are more stringent than a single-family home.
Because of the number of people unfamiliar with the structure and...
It might be certain wiring, certain exits.
Right.
Sure.
Does that apply to any residential right now, or just for this?
No, it would be anywhere single-family residential is permitted.
Right,
So
okay.
in all the residential zoning districts, HP, all number of the design districts, anywhere you can have a single-family home, this would be eligible.
Okay.
As proposed.
JJ, do you know currently whether Airbnb collects taxes in Oklahoma City? Or
Yeah, in August, the City Council entered into an agreement with Airbnb to collect and remit the hotel motel tax.
So it wouldn't be incumbent upon the person leasing the space? It wouldn't
They
be their
can either,
responsibility?
Airbnb can collect it from their members, or I think a member can pay on their own. There's more than just Airbnb. There are other websites that do this, and like I said, an individual could just do it on their own. But the only one we have an signed agreement with is Airbnb.
For homeowners associations, which I'm now a part of, and where I'm on a steering committee to have the developer turn it over to us in our bylaws and covenants, there's no leasing of the home allowed. Does this supersede a homeowners association's bylaws?
It doesn't really supersede it. We wouldn't enforce that. It would be incumbent upon the property owners association to enforce their own covenants. We wouldn't consider those.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
So,
Sign the times.
I think the way that Katie and I talked about this, I would come back or at the next meeting and possibly have some recommendations from the commission.
The thought was that it would come to HP for a presentation first, thinking that this body might have the most concerns of any of the design review districts, since we have the most residential, and then go through all the design review committees that are applicable and get recommendations just in the order that they occur.
Right.
So, yeah.
Okay, well, consider it and give us some recommendations. We'll certainly attach those and get those to the Planning Commission and the City Council.
More questions? No?
When we come back for an actual recommendation, we'll include like the actual text of the ordinance in your packets and everything.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next.
Next, we have a presentation by Michael Washington about the Freedom Center. Mr. Washington came to the HP Commission meeting last month and spoke under Citizens to be Heard, which was so exciting because that never happens. And we were so impressed that he stayed for the entire meeting.
Yes, I did.
But the commission asked that he come back and provide us some more information about the Freedom Center. He and I have met since then. I put together just some photos and some images to support the information that he's going to present, and have had to cut myself off from searching in the Oklahoman archives because it's a fascinating history. But he's going to share with you some more information about the building.
Yeah, thank you very much again. Michael Washington, 2900 Northeast 18th Street, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. First of all, let me inform the group that I run a local nonprofit called Empower People, where our motto is change your world and your world will change around you. We've been given this illustrious commendation by the State Senate for the kind of work we do in the African American community with respect to historical preservations, dealing with child abuse, children delinquency, domestic violence, we're always putting something on. In other words, if you have an issue, let us hear it, and we'll try to get it where everyone can understand it. Now, having said that, I want to move to the Freedom Center of the northeast side of Oklahoma City, 2609 Northeast 23rd Street, right off 26th and Martin Luther King there. We have the images on board. First of all, let me read a little bit of quote from Governor Mary Fallin regarding the pioneer and late, great Clara Luper. According to this governor of ours, Mary Fallin, Clara Luper was a tremendous civil rights activist and a devoted mother. She would be remembered as a civil rights icon and true American hero. And then the words of our current mayor, Cornett, her peaceful, resolute sit-in protest at the Katz drugstore, which the owners at the time refused to serve African Americans, paved the way for equal rights in Oklahoma City. And that was again according to Governor Cornett, Mick Cornett. Before further on, though, I want to show the committee, right on the front page of the Oklahoma Herald, you have the images of the children who accompanied Clara Luper to the Katz drugstore in 1957. And we have two of those members here today with me, who were young toddlers at that time, or not today, but they were then. And again, I want to introduce right here to the left is Brother Bill Payne. Thank you. Then to my immediate in the middle back here is the son of Mother Clara Luper. This is Kevin Luper. Thank you, Kevin. And then I also have Keely Smith here, is also one of the ladies who helped nurture Miss Luper during her declining years. And also this is Miss, the lady who is with me is, Miss Fry. I don't know to call her Faye, Cheryl, or Faye. You know, I have to get ready to watch her. She used to kind of be up on me a lot. And then this gentleman here is with us here. He's Brother Gates. He runs the Gates barbershop next to the center. Now, having said that, the importance of preserving the Freedom Center is important not only to the African American community, as I stated before. First of all, in 1958, Clara Luper founded the iconic Freedom Center, which became the cornerstone and headquarters for the Youth Council. There, the Youth Council and community were taught the importance of black history, African American history. They were taught about poverty, racism, segregation, and discrimination. They learned of the many contributions, values, and strides and sacrifices that African American pioneers made during the Civil Rights era. On the front of the historic building, and this is a very significant point, is a sign that reads, Freedom Center, 2609 North Martin Luther King Avenue, home of the NAACP Youth Council. Home of the NAACP Youth Council. So this tells me, for the most part, let me take a break here. Of course, I'll not hold you long because they always say it's always good for the speaker to leave before the audience does. So all praise due to God on that. But again, the words of Mother Clara Luper here on the front of the building, it reads, the following quote is found. What mean ye by these stones? Joshua 4:6, 246 years of slavery, 1619 to 1865, 99 years of legalized segregation, 1865, 1964, least we forget. This is on the foundation of the wall, okay? The front of the building also is lined with plaques commemorating moments in the Civil Rights Movement. The original Freedom Center, however, was burned down in September 1968, which, again, a graphic was shown up here. And Austin was, again, suspected for it, but, again, no person was arrested. There's an article on it right there. Now, if we can go back, we can look at the dilapidated state of this building. It is very frightening, and as a matter of fact, it's on its last leg, hinges. You can see right in the center the wall is splitting, and if you get further down to the right behind the rail, you can see that it's just totally, I mean, it's just barely hanging on. I mean, it has a slight lean. Now, there's a better picture of it that's a little far back, but you can see that whole side is about to look like any strong wind is going to come, it's going to blow it down. Okay, and I, for one, do not believe that this is the state that Mother Clara Luper intended the Freedom Center to look like, you know, before passing. You know, and matter of fact, I think for the most part what her memory would be better served at is that the Freedom Center was designed to preserve the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of our youth. I think it was the late, great Whitney Houston who said, I believe the children are our future. Teach them well, let them lead the way. And if you can keep that memorable moment in your hearts and in your minds, then you have a better understanding as to why it is important that we preserve the cornerstone of the civil rights movement itself. Because, like I said, it was, and are you ready for this? Not only is this the cornerstone of the civil rights movement, but it was also the site of the longest sit-in the whole entire United States. I'm talking about not just 1 or 2 months, but 2 or 3 years, you see. So that in and of itself has a connection to that. And because it does, it would do a great thing to have it memorialized and preserved in great order. Let me say, for the most part, in further support of why we should preserve it, I read, if you don't mind. The deteriorating state of the building gives the African American community an ugly black eye. Now let's keep it real. It gives us a black eye. And not just, I'm talking about just anybody. You don't want something that has such a significant historical value to it to be just like run down as if you're just in a railroad track. I mean, because it has too many significant figures and monuments and great people attached and associated with it. Now, it is a terrible reflection. It's not a reflection of freedom, justice, and equality. It does not reflect the mindset of what Mother Clara Luper envisioned for all African Americans. In fact, the names of non-African Americans engraved on the memorial wall unquestionably show that Clara Luper wanted liberty for everyone. So it's not just African Americans on the walls. As a matter of fact, we have one instance where 169 people, rest in peace, died here in the A.P. Morrow Federal Building. Their names are painted up. So it's just about, this is the kind of woman that wanted liberty for everyone. She didn't just want to say, okay, well, they're just African Americans and everybody else exists. I mean, there are various other names that are attached to these great walls that we have. And closely in closing here, I said closely now, so y'all get ready for that. Let me read. Reason for preserving the Freedom Center. While there are many streets and corridors named in her honor, it does nothing to preserve Clara Luper's defining legacy and the fight for the equal treatment of African Americans in Oklahoma. Her legacy would be certainly etched in stone, going back to stone now, the building would certainly be etched in stone were the Freedom Center to be preserved in her honor. Like Clara Luper, I strongly believe that our children are our future, and we must teach them well so that they can know the importance of their African culture, their history, and traditions, and to be proud of the civil rights struggle and the great strides Luper and the youth of the Freedom Center made by breaking down color barriers and racial inequality that often excluded blacks from the mainstream of the accommodations offered to whites in Oklahoma. What a wonderful sight it would be to witness youth of today carrying the torch where the youth of the 50s and 60s left off. Don't y'all be looking at me. I see y'all the youth. Y'all ain't no more. Now, the Freedom Center, without question, is the cornerstone of the civil rights movement in Oklahoma. It had long been an important social and cultural center to African American communities throughout Oklahoma. It represented and still represents the epitome of the civil rights struggle here in Oklahoma. It was there that from 1958 to 1964, Clara Luper was a major leader of the fight to end segregation in Oklahoma. The sacrifices she made are tremendous, and not only numerous, but gallantly recognized. The preservation of this historic and yet well-defined historic building, we are asking that it be turned into a historic landmark and that the Freedom Center be turned into an African-American museum and national tourist attraction for tourists who visit Oklahoma to admire. It would be a sight to be observed for generations and generations to come, which again, I believe, was the intent of Mother Clara Luper, not just for momentary basis, but for generations even after you and I are gone. All praise due to God for that. It would no doubt pave the way for the revitalization of the African American community, attracting the attention of business owners back to the northeast quadrant of Oklahoma City, where it was once known as the pride of the East Side. Moreover, the Freedom Center is the only civil rights monument, that African Americans can lay claim to. The name Clara Luper and NAACP Freedom Center are synonymous with ending segregation in Oklahoma. In closing, I would like to add, if you can, Ms. Friddle, to put the part about the stones back up. about the Builder's Stone. And then I like so everybody can kind of read it with us. Here it is. The Builder's Creed. Now listen at the stone being built here, everyone. John Ruskin. The Builder's Creed. When we build, let us think that we build forever. Let's stop there. We're not just building for 20,018, 20,020, 20,000, 2050. Let us know that we're building forever. This building, this center, this Freedom Center, that was the cornerstone and the monumental movement where 13 young kids who desired to change history in Oklahoma set it at heart, not worrying about the threats to their lives, not worried about being jumped on, but not just for themselves, but for others who, like me, who wasn't that old, and who could stand up now and say what a great thing they did. So now we're saying that it is resonating, that it's living on forever, because I wasn't back there then. I ain't going to tell y'all how old I am, because y'all be trying to use it against me. Reading. Let it not be for present delight, not for present, not for Michael Washington this here, nor for present use alone. Let it be such work as our descendants will thank us for. Let us think, as we lay stone on stone, that a time is to come when those stones will be held sacred because our hands have touched them. And men will say, as they look upon the labor and wrought substance of them, see, this is our fathers did for us. You see? So I would want a person 50 years from now to say, wow, I wonder what it was really like 100 years ago. Look what they left for us. Oh, my God, look at these great historical monuments. Look at these great tombs and civilizations and great histories and great figures. My God, this is great. Oh, my man, I mean, you mean my people really did that? And are you ready for this? They can even invite their little Asian friends, their little Caucasian friends, so that they can know to embrace the importance of unity in our community. Not just African American. As a matter of fact, if it was just me standing up here, you wouldn't see me up here. Because I believe that we are all equal and entitled. Self-preservation is the first law of nature. Isn't that something? And because I know that, that's why I want all of you to see that we want this lady's legacy to be etched in stone. Not on just a T-shirt. You see? But we want all of you to see that we're not up here playing with this today. Because this is important that you have these people right here who sacrificed their lives, who were there sitting in them counters, called names, cursed it, spit on. Not just doing it for her, but we're doing it also for those who actually did it, so even you and I could even be talking together in the same room today. See? So we're definitely here for a great cause. Lastly, the lady. Why did I wait last for the lady? Because the lady is who got it started. There would be no civil rights movement here in Oklahoma had the lady not gotten it started. Isn't that something? So this goes to show me today that through the womb we come. And guess what? The womb is preserved through woman, which is the Freedom Center. Come on now. Because in there, the child went in uneducated, but came out like you and I today. God is good. Briefly here. Clara Shepard Luper was born on May 3rd, 1923 in Usfuski, Oklahoma. The civil rights activist and longtime educator was the daughter of Ezell and Isabel Shepard. As a child, she was raised in Hoffman, Oklahoma. She attended high school in an all-black town of Grayson, Oklahoma. She married Charles P. Woodson, later in years, that is, and she had 2 children by a previous marriage, Calvin Luper and Marilyn Heatrith, I think that's how you say that name. And the last daughter was, through her marriage, was Shelley Marie. In 1944, Clara received the bachelor's degree from Langston University. She later attained a master's degree from the University of Oklahoma in 1951 and was the first African American admitted to the graduate program in the University of Oklahoma. But you see what I'm getting at? Look at all these attachments. This lady's just not somebody we just, there's the city in there. This is not just something we're just saying, oh, okay, she did this. No. This lady has been, as you see here, was instrumental in the Catch Drugstore, desegregating it. You know, Park Plaza Washoe-Mat, the Dodo Amusement Park, 1966, sanitation workers strike. You see them getting it? So her movement is etched in stone on every level that we can even try and qualify on. She's there on every move. In other words, whenever you look at the Freedom Center, whenever you look at civil rights, the name has to pop and resonate in our minds. Okay? And to actually have been one of the, to actually the first to be in the graduate program of a prestigious university as Oklahoma, in and of itself says a lot. Okay? So more or less she was a first-timer. I'd like to be a first-time too. I don't know when that time's going to come, but now then, in closing, I keep saying that. Okay. Now, not only was she the first black to be admitted to a graduate program in Oklahoma, Ms. Luper taught history and public relations at Don G. High School in Spencer, Oklahoma, and at John Marshall and Classen High Schools in Oklahoma City. And you must also realize, too, that now, after those transitions, she now was teaching African American, Asian, white, or Caucasian, Hispanics, you know, those who are in the classes now. So all praise to God. So again, I think through this committee's consideration, I have also the stuff that I wrote today. I want to give y'all a pass up to you a little later on. I don't want to pass to you now because you'd have been looking at it. Oh, is he too talking? Let me keep reading here. But anyhow, I like to keep a little joy with it. Let me say one last thing. In closing, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, because you certainly have the power to reach the conclusion that we're asking for today, I ask that you think in your hearts, if the shoe were on the other foot, and I was sitting up there, what would I want Michael Washington to do? What would I want all my other committee members to do? I would want us to preserve this historical foundation so that people, not only present, but who in our future can drive by on a street and see this great monument, African-American monument, historical museum, a tourist attraction, coming in and being able to read all the great names and great figures who made life good for us all. I want my children and your children to be able to say, hey, man, we've weathered the storm. We've made it happen, even though when it looked like we weren't. So in that light, I'll get ready to close, and I'll say thank you for giving me an opportunity to stand before you, and I hope that we've been able to say something today that would cause you to believe that it's an important historical moment in time that the Freedom Center be preserved. Self-preservation is the first law of nature, and I will be now ready to take any questions if you have any. Thank you.
Thank you. That was very interesting. Any questions?
So the commission
Mr. Washington?
could direct staff to prepare a recommendation for a nomination to National Register? Is that typically what we do?
Is that what you're
And
looking?
SHPO does the research and presents?
There's a couple of different options. Well, typically, we aren't going to prepare, staff's not going to prepare a National Register nomination. We do get grant funding to have National Register nominations prepared. We're in the midst of a grant cycle right now. Depending on cost for various projects, we could amend that grant agreement to direct funding towards a National Register nomination for this building. Being on the National Register would qualify them for other grants, tax credits, that sort of thing. The Commission also has the ability to direct staff to put an item on the agenda to consider initiating historic landmark designation at the local level.
That's what.
Now that doesn't come with any assistance really the way that the National Register does. We don't have funding attached to that to assist, but it would be protection and it would be the recognition of the property.
That's where our point is. The main point is preserving it. I don't want somebody to come in and say, when you just mow it down. You know what I'm saying?
Landmark status will do that.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know, if we can get that status, then we don't have to worry about it again, like I said. Well, like I said, it's been closed since 2010. I mean, it's just sitting there. All the history inside and on the walls, I mean, it's just crumbling. However, with this classification that we're asking for, then we can now legally say, okay, it's registered. Now we can legally, technically say, okay, someone help us preserve it now. You see, because the title is there. You see, instead of if you say it right now, they say, oh, man, what's going on here? What we need to preserve? Ain't nobody say this is worth anything.
Okay, then I make the motion to direct staff to initiate the...
I have one question before we do that.
Yeah.
Who owns the property now?
The Freedom Center Incorporated owns it.
Okay, it's a nonprofit?
Yes, a nonprofit, and it's community property.
Okay, so National Register probably won't help too much as a nonprofit, except for recognition.
I'm not sure about that. So,
Yeah,
usually we don't change someone's zoning without, the property owner being okay with.
Yes, sir. We don't need approval.
I was talking about
I've done my
Landmark
research.
versus National Register.
Oh, right.
Yeah, since they're a nonprofit. Anyhow, I just want to find that out. Go ahead, Neela.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
so step one would be directing staff to initiate the historic landmark designation. Right, Katie? Right. Okay, so I make that motion that we
Amen.
direct
Thank
staff
you.
to
That's
do
actually
that.
not a motion, it's just a
Okay.
directive, because
Okay.
we don't have an action item on here.
So we don't need to
Thank
vote
you.
or
So,
anything. Okay.
To the question about the ownership, what we will do, and we sent a letter to the property owners of record about this meeting. We'll send another letter to say that it'll be on the agenda for a future meeting, so they're getting written notice. And then, is one of the people, is an owner present, or?
Yeah, anybody from the...
Okay, sorry, I was looking at other things.
These are the owners here. I mean, I'm just speaking for them as the agent.
Sure.
Registered.
Okay.
So, that's good. I just want to know where you are.
That's all we need.
And then in Brother Gates, he has a barbershop next to it. So, yes, I mean, ma'am, I just appreciate you, Miss Nyla, how you say that?
Neela?
Miss Neela, I appreciate you because, like I said, this is going to help all of us. And like I said, once we get that classification, then I can justify. We already have bricks set out. I mean, but I need money, for people to say, hey, man, the city said that this is a great thing. You see what I'm saying? Then everybody would want to. You'd be shocked with the number of people that I just approached me on Facebook and other parts. Man, you going to do what, for really? I remember when I was at school, I used to go in there. I want my child to go. You know what I mean? So, and I would be able to tell them that you, distinguished people, helped make it happen. So again, thank you very much. And like Arnold Schwarzenegger said, I'll be back.
Thank you very much. We'll do our best.
Thank y'all.
All right, no vote or anything, just a directive?
Right.
Okay. All right, thanks everybody for coming.
Thank y'all so much.
Thank
man.
you.
Oh, I need my newspaper back too. Y'all can't keep that.
Oh.
We need these two, they're going to sign in. I want these two to sign in your face.
Okay, very interesting. On to administrative approvals.
Lots and lots
Lots
of
and
administrative approvals.
Oh,
Yeah, as a matter of fact, former Harlem Globetrotter and also one of the original sit-in movements.
okay, that was you.
Civil rights
Wow.
movement.
Thanks for coming. Okay.
Thank y'all so much.
Well, thank you.
So now, what steps, Ms. Friddle, do we need?
So we'll put that on the January 3rd commission agenda and prepare just a brief staff report about the building, it'll lay out the criteria for historic landmark status.
Okay.
And then at that point, the commission would actually formally vote to initiate the process.
Right.
That doesn't make it a landmark, but
No,
it
no,
starts
no.
the
Step by
designation
step.
process.
Yeah, right.
And then we would go on from there.
Good.
So,
Thank y'all very much. I told you I'll be back.
You're welcome.
Thank y'all.
thank you.
Okay. Sorry to interrupt him, but on to D, withdrawals.
No withdrawals, 2 administrative closures. I don't think we had anything to report from City Council, Board of Adjustment, or Planning Commission.
Ad hoc committee.
Nothing from Ad hoc Committee at this time.
Okay. Anything from the Municipal Counselor's Office? Okay. The next regular scheduled meeting for the Historic Preservation Commission is January 3rd, 2018, end of the year, at 2 p.m., right here. New applications for this meeting were received December 5th. New information on projects continuing from today's meeting to the upcoming meeting must be submitted to staff by 4 p.m. Tuesday, December 12th. The next regularly scheduled workshop for the Historic Preservation Commission is Wednesday, March 14th, 2018, from 11:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. at 420 West Main, Suite 900. Okay, are there any items from commissioners?
Just wanted to confirm, these are the dates for 2018 now?
Yes.
There's some
Those are
changes.
the official dates
This
from
is
the
official.
last.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we got our dates too. All right, and citizens to be heard. We've heard from some. No more, I guess. So I guess with that, nothing else. We're adjourned. Thank you.